we've got people on the roadside dying unnecessary, and just because of the lack of getting either fresh water, access to a doctor, access to an A&E department.
It's not funny, but there's a bit of a joke that if you're going to work with Gypsies and Travellers, get yourself a smart black jacket, because you'll go to funerals, and unfortunately the census proved that that was absolutely true.
The average person in Leeds can expect to live to 78. But new data shows that Gypsies and Travellers in the city have a life expectancy of 50.
It depressed us enormously and upset us. I don't know why, because it only proved something really that we already knew.
And what they fear the most is that the next generation of travellers will face the same problems.
I couldn't bring that baby at 26-week home here because they were a health hazard. They said no ways would they leave a 26-week-old premature baby onto this caravan site.
Those working with Gypsies and Travellers had always said there was a health crisis in the community. And this has also been confirmed by researchers at Sheffield University with a national study.
Sadly, it revealed that their health is poorer than settled populations, and significantly so.
Travellers were compared to disadvantaged white communities and other ethnic minorities.
The findings were that the various health conditions that they suffered from that they were 2 to 5 times worse than settled populations.
The reasons for this are complex, but there was one overriding factor.
Accommodation was mentioned by every respondent, and whether that's they can't find adequate accommodation, whether they're on the roadside and can't get a site, or in a house and they'd rather not be, whatever aspect of accommodation it was had a profound impact on people that we interviewed.
The census identifies where Gypsies and Travellers in Leeds live. There are over 1,000 long-term residents in the city. Many are now in houses, but because this is a question of ethnic identity and not behaviour, they're still a part of the community. There's a council-run caravan site at Cottingley Springs, which is full with a long waiting list. And there's a number of families currently living on the roadside with nowhere to go. They set up camp wherever they can on fields or disused ground, without even the most basic facilities. This makes it difficult to maintain hygiene.
We're not dirty, we're clean. We keep everything clean and tidy, and imagine if you had enough water and you had proper toilets and a skip to put your rubbish in, well, there'd be no problem. But where the council won't give you a skip and they won't give you toilets, so what are you supposed to do?
Sometimes it can be a struggle even to find enough water to drink.
We have to buy it. That's scandalous. We have to go into Morrison's and buy bottled water because no one will give us bottled water. I mean, like, I know there's water rates and whatever, but water is free. That's what this world was made out of, water. So it's for everybody to use, but just not us.
Leeds City Council declined an invitation to appear on this programme. Instead, they issued a written statement. It said, "The authority has to balance the fact that these encampments are frequently unauthorised with the needs of those residing on such sites. We are rolling out rubbish collection to all sites. The provision of toilets is also being trialled. There are no current plans to provide running water." The Whites have been on this particular site for 8 weeks, but they're never in one place for long. Those working with the families are sure that the conditions have an impact on their health, both physical and mental.
First and foremost, the anxiety of it not being an authorised place to be. The police can turn up at any minute and make you feel very insecure about where you live, and also the containment of disease or what have you would be more difficult.
The census recommends building 5 small sites to accommodate the roadside travellers. The council's response is that it's waiting for government guidance on the issue. After that, it'll work with other stakeholders to alleviate any identified need. Many of the roadside travellers would be glad of a plot on a council site like Cottingley Springs. There they would have a shed with a bathroom and kitchen, water, electricity and wheelie bins. But even here there are problems.
Half of the sheds is falling down, half of the roads are needing fixed. There's a pig farm here, there's a big storage here at the back of us. There's a river running through. And every domestic waste in the country is coming through. So we're suffering.
The council says there's no pig farm or sewerage plant adjacent to the site, and some of the sheds are undergoing modernisation later this year. Poor health's a feature of life here too.
The population of gypsy people is dying so fast, but there's that many of gypsy people having children and bringing them back up, living the life on, but past 30, 40, they're gone. My father left us at 39-year-old. I was only 15-year-old, the youngest was only 9-year-old.
Harsh though it is, some might say this is the price of a lifestyle that these people have chosen. At any time they could decide to give it up and live in a house instead. But it's not just as easy as that. Some can't afford to buy one themselves, and it can be difficult to get a council house.
It's like goes on a points matter, so they say you have 7 or 8 years to wait. So what are you going to do for 7 or 8 years?
And even once they've moved into a house, their health doesn't always improve. Losing your culture and extended family can bring its own problems.
It breaks up the whole communities, and when we're on sites, we're in our own communities. The travelling gypsy communities is very close. In the house here, I know well that it's damaging my own health, as well as I'm a single parent. I have a little boy, learning difficulties. I know it's damaging his health and that because we're not used to it. And it's like a prison to us. We come in and we shut the door and look out the window. What I've been told by my doctor and how I feel, that is suffering from very bad depression.
Each type of accommodation has its own particular problems, but the fact is, wherever they live, travellers tend to have poorer health and die younger than the rest of the population. And it can be difficult for them to access services.
Many GPs still refuse to take on travellers. They don't always do it openly.
Sat down, gave me all the time in the world because they didn't know I was a gypsy. But when I said I was a gypsy, they had no time in the world for me, to be honest with you. They were proper racists against me and my children and everything. They said, look, we don't take travellers, don't take gypsies on from the caravan side.
Another problem is the low level of literacy in the community. Many of the children don't get the chance to go to school, and this puts them at a disadvantage.
Some health people do give out leaflets as part of the explanation without necessarily checking. And even if they do check, there might be an embarrassment in actually saying, I can't read that. I often read, leaflets and articles about health, and I work in the health service, but lots of people do that and know what to look for and things to be aware of in their bodies. If you can't read, you've lost that whole section of knowledge.
Travellers can be reluctant to approach the health services. Some are afraid they'll be misunderstood.
When you say you have a literacy card in your pocket that you can't read and write, they think you're stupid as well along with that. So it's like you can't fill in forms. Well, they're all huffy about filling them in for you. And when you're waiting for so long, well, it's common sense if you're waiting with 2 children and you kind of seem to get put at the back of the queue because it doesn't matter because you're a bit stupid.
Many travellers say they've been discriminated against by people working in healthcare.
That's almost certainly true, and we take that as part of our general approach to equality and diversity, and we're in the process of offering trainings to all our staff.
They're also planning to improve the services specially targeted at the community. At the moment, a health bus goes to Cottingley Springs once a week. It's staffed by a GP and a part-time health visitor.
What we're looking to do is expand both those services and also look for a more permanent setting for those services to take place. And then the second thing was we felt that what was needed was a health advocate. So that was somebody who could work with the travelling communities but also understood the healthcare system and therefore could represent them and help bring the two sides together.
The census played a part in bringing about these changes. By revealing that travellers are dying at 50, it brought them to the attention of the health services. It put them on the agenda. You might wonder why travellers in this city have such low life expectancy. But actually, there's no reason to think that the situation in Leeds is worse than anywhere else in the country. The truth is, we just don't know, because the data hasn't been collected in other parts of England. And it seems that this sort of basic information can be the first step towards improving the health of travelling people.